It all started as a playful dare. My friends had been teasing me about how bored I'd become in my marriage, how stuck in a routine I seemed. So when one of them invited me on a weekend getaway at a secluded resort rumored to be liberated, I agreed, half out of curiosity, half out of desperation for something that felt alive. My wife, Claire, had planned to come with me, but a last-minute work emergency kept her home. For a moment, I considered backing out, but the thought of a break from the monotony won out. Then came the call that changed everything. "Hey, Daniel, my mother, Renee, said casually over the phone. Heard you're heading somewhere sunny this weekend. Mind if I tag along? I could use a break." She'd been divorced for over a year, and though I knew she was lonely, this wasn't a trip I wanted to share. I stammered something vague about it being more of a friend's getaway, but she brushed it aside with a laugh. Renee had always been confident in ways that made people notice her. Flirty jokes, youthful clothes, the kind of presence that filled a room. I didn't have the courage to tell her the truth about the place. By the time we arrived at Palmidge Resort, I knew I'd made a mistake. Even the staff radiated a quiet electricity, their eyes lingering, their smiles secretive. It wasn't just a resort. It was a world of whispered possibilities. Renee didn't bat an eye at the suggestive energy humming through the air. She breezed through check-in like she was on any other vacation. We had separate rooms, and after dinner, she excused herself early. I felt relief wash over me. With her tucked away for the night, I headed toward the pool area I'd heard about, the one where the real escape supposedly happened. The path wound through torchlit gardens, each step drawing me closer to the muffled bass of slow music and the soft splash of water. When I stepped into the poolside clearing, I froze. Bodies moved through the water like shadows, glistening under the moonlight, limbs intertwining without shame or hesitation. Masks, laughter, heat. It was exactly the kind of thrill I'd imagined. And then I saw her. Renee stood at the edge of the pool, a cocktail in her hand, wearing a black swimsuit that barely qualified as one. She looked completely at ease, smiling at someone's joke, hair glowing like fire in the low light. She caught my gaze across the pool, raised her glass, smiled. I swallowed hard and moved quickly toward the bar, pretending I hadn't just seen my mother blending into the pulse of this place like she belonged there. Maybe she didn't realize what kind of resort this was. Maybe she thought it was just an upscale adults-only party. I clung to that fragile hope while ordering a drink. From the corner of my eye, I watched her, laughing with strangers, touching their arms when she spoke, so comfortable, so alive. It was a version of her I hadn't seen since before my father left. A hostess approached with a clipboard, inviting guests to join a game in the pool. Masks provided, no names, no questions asked. It was pitched like harmless fun, but the way she smiled made it clear there was nothing innocent about it. I shook my head and turned away. Renee, however, stepped forward. She accepted a blindfold, nodding at the hostess with that same fearless ease. I should have left. Instead, I felt someone slip a mask over my eyes, a soft velvet strip of fabric that plunged me into darkness. We were guided into the shallow end of the pool, laughter echoing around me. Fingers brushed against strangers' hands, shoulders, skin. No words, only touch. Then she found me. Small hands, confident, gliding up my arms as if they already knew their way. My breath caught, my body tensing. I should have stepped back, said something, but I didn't. Her mouth found mine under the blindfold. Hungry. Searching. Her body pressed against mine in the warm water, hips moving with a rhythm that felt too familiar. My mind screamed to stop, to pull away, but my body betrayed me. I didn't pull back when her hands slid along my waist, when her lips returned to mine, tasting faintly of wine and something I couldn't name. Somewhere deep inside, I knew. And still, I stayed. When it was over, she slipped away first, leaving my hands clutching at nothing but water. I ripped off the blindfold, heart hammering. The pool was full of faceless strangers, no sign of the one who had just been with me. The fantasy dissolved. The next morning, sunlight felt harsh. Renee was already seated at the breakfast table, hair tied back, sundress skimming her legs, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. "Morning," as she said lightly. "Did you sleep well?" I nodded, forcing a laugh. "Yeah, fine." We never spoke about it. The rest of the weekend was a performance, touring the island, taking photos, pretending. But every time our hands brushed, or our eyes met for a heartbeat too long, I felt it again. That unspoken truth thrummed beneath every polite word. We returned home. Life resumed. Family dinners, birthdays, holidays. But sometimes, when the room goes quiet, I catch her watching me with that same knowing look. And I know she remembers. We both do. Some things sink deep, buried under layers of time and routine. But they don't disappear. We crossed a line that night at the pool. And we've been living on the other side of it ever since.